In this video, I want to talk about the Venus retrograde cycle and the Venus star point. Last night, I was awakened around 3 a.m. with some really intense messages and downloads. Mostly the message of look into Venus. It just kept saying 40 days and 40 nights, Venus, Venus, 40 days, 40 nights. And I'm like, okay. And tomorrow, although I did sort of get up because it was so intense, and by then I was wide awake. I did a little bit of reading and research in the middle of the night, but as soon as I got up this morning, I spent all day. And I'm not going to claim to ever be an astrologer. I did aspire to become an astrologer at one point in my life when I realized that is a full-time commitment and it is a beautiful science. However, I utilize the tools of astrology whenever I'm intuitively called to, because I'm so energetically sensitive and I feel these energies, these planetary transits and energies so intensely. I get intuitive hits to check the moon, check the cycles, check Saturn, check Pluto. And Pluto has been a big passion of mine too, until now that I dove deeper into Venus. And I really just scratched the surface, but I did take some notes because I feel like there's some really important things that I discovered that I want to share with all of you of what we've been experiencing, especially in since Venus started her retrograde in Leo, July 22nd. So we're still in this retrograde cycle until September 3rd, 4th, depending on where you are in the world. So Venus retrogrades for 40 days and 40 nights around. It's typically 40 days, 40 nights. Sometimes it's maybe 40. I think it's 44 this time. Correct me if I'm wrong, but regardless, this was important because it guided me to key points to that. And this is basically how I get a lot of my information. And Venus, the star point, is when she meets up with the sun, which she did on the 13th, an exact conjunction, a cazimi. She passes through the heart of the sun, and that is her star point in Leo. A star point, Venus forms, let me show you guys. She has an 8-year cycle that forms 5 petals of a rose, a flower, as each time as she passes the sun. These represent the retrograde Venus, which would be considered a new Venus, and then the outer represent a full Venus, which is Venus direct. Same diagram, same zodiac hits that she makes in this 8-year cycle also form this 5-pointed star, the pentagram, same pattern. Okay. This is big, and there's a lot to this. There are some people who actually only study these cycles, and there's been books written about it, but I'm just scratching the surface. So 40 days and 40 nights of Venus retrograde, which we're diving into the underworld, and all the way up until she stations direct on the 3rd or 4th, wherever you are in the world. She'll be at exactly 12 degrees and 12 seconds in Leo when she stations direct. So again, there's a lot of synchronicities here. 1212 is a master number that's indicating a shift into higher states of consciousness and awareness, possibly seeing things from a new perspective. We will be changed in some way by this retrograde cycle. So Venus rules the themes of love, and Venus in Leo is all about self-love and heart-centered relationships, our values. There's also money and what we find, the beauty that we perceive in this world. Venus retrograde, we usually reflect on our past actions and reactions in these areas of life: love, relationships, money, values, core values. And we get a better understanding of how our past influences our choices and our decisions that we, as well as our responses to love, relationships, and money. This helps us, it's helping us shift out of an older version of ourselves, although we still have this entire 8-year cycle before she starts the next flower or star. So we are in the third petal. We are past the halfway mark of an 8-year, look at it as each chapter in our life is an 8-year chapter. Okay, so we are finishing up the Venus theme, the chapter from August 15th of 2015. That's when this, that was the end of the cycle in Leo. So Leo themes. Stay with me here. There's a lot so we are finishing up Venus themed chapters from that began August 15th in 2015. Not that when this flower began, but that's the theme from Leo. So again, we're always evolving and ascending and growing in certain themes in our lives. So wherever you have Leo in your chart, whatever house you have Leo in your chart, that's where you would most likely be feeling and experiencing these themes. I'm sure there's more to it. So again, I'm not an astrologer, but I do my research when I am intuitively guided to pick out really key points here. Venus retrogrades every 18 months, shifting from an evening star to a morning star that is mirroring our own rebirth of our heart energy and transforming from an internal, unconscious state. The evening star is more internal and unconscious to an external or realized state when she becomes a morning star. So there's going to be a lot of realizations by the time she actually has already emerged as a morning star as of I think it was today. Venus retrograde in Leo can be very confusing energy, and yes, it has been a very confusing Venus retrograde. Feeling the need to follow the heart, yet not fully understanding what the heart is saying. Leo, and I did bring out, because I did actually study astrology. I had astrology courses until I was bumped off of it, because honestly, one of the main reasons was I was so engrossed in it that I wasn't living my life presently. I was constantly observing everything as an astrological event or experience to report on, and it was taking away from me and my journey. So I'm guided into astrology when there are big things to talk about and to understand for myself. Okay, where was I here? Leo is where we're here to shine our soul essence. Yet in order to shine, you must put yourself out there and mature and grow, learning to be recognized, which can bring up insecurities and the need for maturity. Venus in Leo is proud, self-confident, not afraid of attention, and desires recognition. However, when Venus in Leo is out of balance or not in alignment with higher self, it can be very self-serving, attention-seeking, overly dramatic, materialistic, or shallow, and can attach self-worth to popularity, fame, possessions, or money. So these are things that many people are maturing or moving out of eventually. As Venus travels retrograde through Leo, it activates all of the Venus and Leo themes and can also drain that energy from these themes. Again, relationships, love, money, leading us to feeling lost, less confident, stifling our creative energy and questioning ourselves, especially as she's considered going into the underworld. So we're getting squeezed. Again, remember this 40-day, 40 nights, because I'm going to bring that up towards the end here. We're then encouraged to follow our hearts over our heads, which can add to the confusion, disassociation. Then we dive deeper inward to discover new heart-centered truths for ourselves. So it's a constant purge. We're constantly being squeezed. We're constantly being emotionally asked to level up in certain areas of our lives. Certain relationships no longer feel heart-centered or aligned with you, and our perception on what love begins to change and evolve. Our values may begin to change. What we desire for ourselves, that may begin to change in this transit. Deep heart healing, replaying or reviewing past relationship dynamics, issues, and what must heal, what must be let go of, as well as past relationship wounds are coming up, resurfacing. You may even have people from your past coming back into your play to trigger or bring up these unhealed wounds in you again. So if you're having those experiences, this is why. This is also lessons with regards to money and the ego death. So the Venus star point, again, as she touches the sun, and we are at the sun in Leo here, the third petal. The third petal is we're elevating in consciousness. So we're more than halfway through this star point here. She creates a 5-pointed star, 5-petal rose, every 8 years as she orbits around the sun from the Earth's vantage point. To create the petals, Venus has shifts between being a morning star and an evening star. The transition is marked by her alignment with the sun, known as the Venus star point. Venus conjuncts the sun, transforming from morning star to evening star. And then Venus goes retrograde, and she goes backwards, conjuncts the sun again, and shifts from evening star to morning star. So her transits are kind of, they spiral around, and then she goes back around, and then she spirals around again, and then she goes back around, spirals around, goes back around. So this is why we get dizzy sometimes, but we're learning a lot. It is the retrograde period again, remember, where we are for 40 days, 40 nights brought into the underworld, into our own inner psyche, and a lot of soul awakenings, deep soul challenges are experienced. It's said that the evening star Venus helps us activate, the evening star is our inner world. It helps activate self-love and self-compassion and nourishment of self, while the morning star Venus helps create connections with others, partnerships. That's the external world. So we have just passed through we experienced for this Leo, the evening star, or our inner world, giving ourselves more self-love. And that's been a lot of the messages that have come up, and I've done a lot of videos about why is it so hard to love ourselves, self-love, self-compassion, nourishing ourselves. Each of the 5 petals represents a growth or evolution point in love, connection, values, and interpretation of beauty as well. Values incorporates money, finances. The entire rose takes 8 years to complete, a full period of ascension and maturity in these areas. So again, I'm not going to go through all of these notes, but I wanted to point out this 40-day, 40 nights, because then I was guided into going a little bit more biblical as well as just historical. And there's a lot. There's a lot. I'm only going to give a couple points, but 40 days, 40 nights. We have Noah's Ark. Rain fell on the earth for 40 days, 40 nights, and I can give you the Bible, Genesis 7:12. We have Moses led the Israelites, and again, I'm not religious, but I am always interested in studying ancient texts and in history, especially when it comes to human evolution. this is interesting when I read this. Israelites. Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt towards the promised land. When I was up in the mountains visiting my son and my grandson, I had taken my grandson to this lake, beach lake. It was called the Promised Land. I swear I have been experiencing this this whole 40-day, 40 nights theme, been guided through it in multiple ways, and it all just came flashing to me this morning. Anyway, he was called to the top of Mount Sinai for 40 days, 40 nights without food or water. And this is where Moses received the 10 commandments for living in alignment with God. That is Exodus 34:28. Then we have God's disciples endured 40 days of taunting and challenges from Goliath before David is sent to the field with bread for everyone and decides he'll be the one to fight for his people. So most of these 40-day, 40 nights are of great endurance and suffering. A lot of it has to go without food and water. After his baptism, Jesus was led by the Holy Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by Satan. He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights and was tempted by the devil in his hunger and weakness. Matthew 4:2. And again, don't quote me on these. These are just sort of scribble notes, but I just found it very, very fascinating, the 40-day, 40 nights, because this is that Venus retrograde transit. After Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection, Jesus remained and walked with his disciples for 40 days and 40 nights before ascending to heaven. That's Acts 1:3. And there's so many more, I stopped writing them. Here's another interesting fact. The typical number of weeks a woman is pregnant before giving birth, 40 days and 40 nights. In religious texts, it's mostly a period of 40 days and nights to learn a crucial lesson, to end a negative habit or practice, and to adopt a new way of living from the heart with love. I find that very, very fitting for this Venus in retrograde transit. And I just wanted to share everything that I experienced, or the interesting facts of this energy that we are in with all of you. And with all of that, I'm just going to pull a card or two for us all. I don't even remember why I got this notebook out. But that's the nerdy, I don't even want to call it nerdy geek. It's just like, I love to really dive into all of this stuff, because when I get flashes of insight, it's like, oh, I got to go deeper. I got to go deeper. So I wanted to share all that with you guys, and let's pull a couple cards as we are working our way out of these 40-day, 40 nights of Venus. And I'm sure that not everybody is going without food and water, but many are. And but we are still experiencing challenges and learning really deep, important lessons when it comes to love, self-love, relationships, our values, our habits, our money habits. And do you put your own self-value on your possessions, on your money? We're learning big lessons, tough lessons, but we are growing and maturing and evolving through this this experience. When I'm connected to my joyful presence, I attract support from the universe. This was a big message that actually had me crying earlier today, because that was just a big thing that when I'm going through my own dark tunnel, and I already know when you're being tested, the teacher's quiet, and but I'm like, where's the guidance? Where's all this? And I've had that off and on for the last month or so. Connected to the heart, you're going to start to attract the support, and it is coming for those of you who are wondering if you're ever going to be released from the underworld. Yes, and there will be great strength, great wisdom, great understanding. I choose to learn through love. And the moment I embrace my peace within and surrender the outcome is the moment that the universe can truly get to work. So here we go again with the surrender. And that is truly, I know a lot of people, when they're faced with tough choices and tough challenges in life, really want to like take control. And when you're not able to control a situation or control other people, it can feel like you're just losing and you're falling and you're falling. Let go. That is when you let go. And if you need to ask for help, ask for help. But do not try to hold on. When you're in a raging river, don't hold on to the bank or the rock. Let go and let the current take you to where the next place is. The universe can get to work. When we get out of our own way, bottom of the deck, energy flows where my intention goes. Beautiful. So those are the messages I have for us all at this current time. And just know that you are not alone, and we are all loved. We are all connected to each other. It just can get a little challenging and can get very frustrating, but be able to see it from a higher vantage point, to see it from the bigger picture, because we're going to get so much more out of it, so much more wisdom, so much more understanding. And I see many great things coming ahead. It has been a tough challenge. I am not immune to that at all. I cannot, but if I focus on the challenges only, that seems to really drag me down, and I lose my energy. I lose my flow. So I've learned how to go with the flow of different energy and transits. And when I get waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning with big messages, you better believe I'm going to listen to them and follow them. So I hope that you do the same. And I'm sending you all out so much love. Take care. Bye.